Greetings everyone from downtown Cleveland, Ohio. As you see a Healthline bus passing down Euclid Avenue at the intersection of East 22nd Street. Today is Friday, June 20th, 2025 at 4:07 p.m. Eastern Time outside the Cleveland State University campus. It is a pretty nice 77-degree day right now. It was sunny earlier, but now it's gotten overcast. And I checked the forecast. It's actually a small threat of rain coming up at 6 to 7 o'clock p.m. Probably nowhere near as much as it would have rained over the past couple of days in Cleveland. So I have a few things in my mind that I want to cover in today's live stream. Unfortunately, one of them is going to be like walking a distance out of the way, but I thought to myself, okay, even though I don't necessarily have, or I won't even say don't necessarily, even though I don't have the fondest of memories of St. Vincent Charity Hospital, I think that's a fairly big piece of history, and with a lot of people having connections to it in the outstretched downtown Cleveland area. And they're supposed to be tearing it down. I'm not sure, maybe it is already torn down. Well, but that's the point. We're going to walk down there. So we're walking a little bit outside of downtown, but then I'm pretty much going to backtrack to this point. So that's how we'll kick things off. You see a number 14 bus letting someone off here. Let's see if we can see. You got a car here that turns around the bus when it shouldn't. Here's the Stephanie Tubbs Jones Transit Center where you can catch the 55 as well as the 251. Not sure if any other buses go there. They definitely have a lot of stops for potential buses. You can see there's 13 numbered stops. I think at one point in time, Megabus, when it used to have a Cleveland presence, might have been down this way. And I believe there was some talk when they were repurposing the location of Greyhound that maybe they could utilize this space, but I forgot whatever came of that. I don't think they ended up settling on this area. This weekend in Cleveland, temperatures will get a bit hotter again. I know there's I forget if they use the term extreme or excessive heat warning that begins, I believe, at noon on Sunday and lasts through Monday. As we arrive at Carnegie, you can see Progressive Field in the distance. We're going to have to wait for this next light. Going down this direction, I know it's past St. Vincent, and if you go a little bit further east, you have the TriC campus, as well as a little bit further down on Orange, you've got the main post office. I debated whether I should venture down to either of those places, but when I was thinking about it and looking on Google Maps ahead of time, I was like, man, maybe if I do a bike riding, that's what I was thinking. Like one day I probably will do, if I have a bike with me during like a lunch break, I'll bike, and that way I'll be able to cover more ground in the central area going eastward here and toward the post office. And the reason I say, oh, maybe I'll take a look at that area is because I had never really been exposed much to it. I mean, I had been to the post office on Orange, but for it being so close to CSU, I always hear of TriC, and I knew where it was on Google Maps. Like, I had literally never recalled being near the campus. And that's a good point too, now I think of it. Maybe I should do a campus tour on the exterior of TriC one time. But anyway, when I got exposed to it was during summer of 2023, when I was just starting to learn how to drive, and my friend was letting me use their car so I could practice. We used the TriC parking lot because it was, very empty but plenty big, and both of us, after work downtown, it was convenient to go over there. So then some of the early practice driving I was doing was around that area, and I could see there were quite a few what I thought to be fairly new and nice looking housing developments. I don't know how long they've actually been up, but I think I had the preconceived notion in my mind, like, oh, it's maybe like a bad neighborhood. And I still don't know what the crime and such might be like, but it seemed pretty nice looking. We got like a little mural across the thing here, a bunch of various footsteps. This side has that going across. And on the other side, you just have a bunch of phrases like equity, believe, land, courage, trust, unite. So this says danger demolition site. Me not knowing the history of this building, my first thought is that this is part of the St. Vincent Medical Center demolition, considering that St. Vincent Charity Medical Center is right there. Certainly demolition work. From what I read online, they shuttered it in November 2022. I forget what was here, or like I just remember the main building over there, but they excavated something here. Lot C. But it's sort of the reason even though I don't have like good memories per se of this area, it still takes up a big footprint. I'm not sure what the plans are for the future, if they've been if anything's been disclosed related to that of this site. But what I was gonna say was, it's still interesting to document a building like in its final days, so to speak. I've been seeing pictures of the Sears in Southland and how that is being torn down. I don't know, I probably won't have time to get out there before they completely take it down, but that would have been something of interest to me. So yeah, you can see more of this St. Vincent Charity Medical Center. They're still doing upkeep on the yard. The grass is fairly nicely done. But yeah, the entranceway over there has been gutted. Can already see some graffiti on the windows. So before long, this structure and then the rest of St. Vincent Charity Medical Center behind it will be coming down. I don't know what the future is for something like this, where it says Sisters of Charity. I mean, there's no fencing around that. So maybe, I don't know if that is like a separate enough entity. I'll have to do some more digging and research. Yeah, if we kept going, like, I believe it's that direction, like on a diagonal, I'm pretty sure that's where the TriC campus is. Maybe one of these days when I bring a bike to work, we can do a little video there. But this is also nice to see this too when we look across the way. I haven't exactly captured this angle of downtown Cleveland in previous videos. But we're going to work our way back. I'm just going to cross the street and then we'll carry on with things. I know Allocated Brain is or was here. If you're also joining the chat, feel free to give a shout out and let us know you're here. I see we have 14 viewers currently. There's a 14A bus behind us. Yeah, this might be an intersection where I use my judgment to cross, because one of those ones where the button's not working. So I don't know if it's going to register the walk symbol. Welcome, Brian. Thanks for joining us. We're going to go ahead and start crossing now. Probably could take this way underneath that and maybe it would lead me over there, but I'm just going to go back on this side of the street since I'm more familiar with it. This is another portion of the St. Vincent Charity Medical Center Hospital. Got a banner here, looks like highlighting the area. Cuyahoga Community College, Langston Hughes, Call-in Post paper. It's talking about the history of Central. House of Wills, Carl and Lewis Stokes, Jean Merle Capers, Wilbert Bill Cobbs, Sarah Harper, Woodland Cemetery, Dorothy Dandridge, Majestic Hotel. So that was constructed in 2016, it says, as part of the City of Cleveland Public Art Program. You see this bench here has been ripped out of its foundation. They should really move that because that's like a loose projectile someone could heave. You got the trash can thing that's bent and looks like one of those WWE trash cans that you could just pick up and they would like toss at the other wrestlers. Greetings, John from Ohio City. And then hello, Ken J. Ken says, hello, Poco, I love your tours of our great city. Yeah, as I was sitting at the airport on a layover in Vegas last night, it's one of those things, like, I would always take pride in trying to respond to comments from actual videos. But I knew over the past few months, like, man, I just, been so busy that I haven't had time. Like, I see the comments coming in, but I haven't either acknowledged them or responded to them in some capacity. So I spent like an hour and a half. That's how I was killing my time in the airport. I was going through comments, and I'm still not done with it, but I was going through comments in the past like 7 months and trying to at least do the, make sure I read it again, do the thumbs up or heart symbol, and then I responded to a few of them. I know I saw a lot of comments from Ken and some of the others on here too, so always appreciated. I'll try to be better about responding to those comments. Walter Mitty Fonzo says, enjoying the video, Chris. Brian says, need more live streams of Cleveland. Yeah, the only other live streamer that I'm still familiar with is Dan, who goes by Shocking Guy on YouTube. His are not tours per se, but he often will chase certain incidents in his car, like if he is following the police scanner or hears about a fire, he'll go drive out there and swing by it a little bit. So the other day I was watching late at night, it's probably 1 a.m. Eastern time, I think, and he was actually going in my neck of the woods around Lorraine Avenue, West Boulevard, after initially having started on the east side, going through downtown Cleveland and stuff. Alright, so we are making our way back to the downtown Cleveland area, getting back to Carnegie. Thank you, Laura, for welcoming me back again to Cleveland. Good to see you in the chat. Alright, let's make a left-hand turn down Carnegie. And then I think I'm going to weave my way back up toward Euclid after that. And I think I just missed the timing of the light again. Sometimes when I do these walks, I'll use my judgment since no traffic's coming. A lot of times when I do these walks, I time things up perfectly. Boom, boom, boom at these traffic lights. I only have timed one of them up today though. John says Lorraine, West Boulevard seems like a cool area. Well, I'm used to it since it's home, but going south of Lorraine from West Boulevard down the hill, there's not a lot to do per se, and sometimes there's people just wandering around the area. Like I said, I know that growing up in that neighborhood, it just all seems normal to me. that would be going to Interstate 77 South. Let's bow off of Carnegie. This will be the other end of the Stephanie Tubbs Jones Transit Center after we pass this parking garage. So two of the other things I want to cover on this stream are new street reconstruction or orientation with planned bike paths that I believe it was allocated. Brainy pointed out right before the live stream started. I had seen that headline like a few days ago or a week ago, and I had wanted to make note of it, but as I was doing research before today's live stream, I had just forgotten about it. And then right before I started, I checked out the chat and saw you mentioned it. So we're going to go check out that, and then I'm going to try to continue on down all the way to the North Coast Yard, which is by the William G. Mather Steamship next to Brown Stadium and the Great Lakes Science Center, because they're supposed to have built like a little pop-up summer thing at the lakefront. And that would include like a surface area with painted lines where you could just, you know, if you wanted to bring a basketball, you could go there, and they have I think 2 basketball courts set up and a few other recreational things. I think today, I don't know if the basketball is going to be available today, but they're going to have, it said at 5 o'clock, like roller skating and maybe music, and I think there might be a couple food trucks that are there. Guess I'll cross over here. I was curious if that last month I ventured over somewhere, I can't remember if it was there or further down. I ventured over here to see where the new Subway food place was located that had moved off of Euclid Avenue and East 18th, and I saw its presence last month when I did my downtown update, but it wasn't finished, so I was just going to swing by there and check if it's complete. When I passed by the Subway location that's right on the other end of Trinity Commons Church going just a few feet eastward, their summer hours are only 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. I still say I don't know how a lot of these places that are food establishments survive during the year. I mean, it's bad enough during the semester. You probably never see any foot traffic in them, but summer especially, unless you're physically on the campus, is just, I'm beating a dead horse because I say this almost every live stream that I do. Since COVID, it's just a drastic difference. I know, you know, a lot of things have recovered in terms of foot traffic in downtown in general, but that's one of them that, from my personal observation, is just not even a question in my mind. Brian says where they recovered my stolen van. Was that where I was walking, or the Lorraine West Boulevard area? Yeah, I'm sure that's not fun. Yeah, I mean, I forget the context of the story. I know way, you know, I don't know if it was before I was born or when I was a baby. My mom would tell me stories about how, I think her dad's car was stolen, and one of us must have been born, because I'm pretty sure the story involved like a car seat being in there and taken too. Alright, so here's the Subway location, and it says now open, even though it's closed right now. So it's open let's see what the updated temporary hours are. So they're open, they open later than the, at least for the summer, later than the other one, 11 a.m., but they close at, according to this, 9 p.m. However, it is not open. So that's the seating arrangement inside. This is, I mean, places seem to have a lot more fluid hours than they used to. Again, when I go back to my, I think it was my May live stream that I was doing, I was walking through the 5th Street arcades. I get to Geraci's Pizza, Geraci's Slice Shop, and it was probably around 5 o'clock p.m. and it was just closed. There was no sign or note indicating why. You know, these days maybe people post stuff on social media more, but since I only have one cell phone during the live stream, I can't exactly load it up and check. John Cheetor says, where is that Subway? Well, right now I'm at Prospect and East 18th. So let's say it's on Prospect between 18th and I assume 19th is the next street, but there may not be a 19th. It may just be 21st is the next street. Between 18th and 21st Street. And it used to be, they relocated from Euclid and 18th on this corner, which I made this comment last month. My perception is, even though I was just complaining about the lack of foot traffic, to me Euclid still gets far more foot traffic than Prospect. Now I didn't pay attention, maybe there's more like pop-up street parking spots along that Subway and Prospect. I'd have to go back and look and think about that, but I wouldn't think that that's a major decision. My assumption is I would have to imagine it's something with the rent of the space or something, some cost-cutting measure. But like that area where that new Subway is, I never see any foot traffic there. Yeah, here's the old location, and this one was here quite a while. It was definitely here when I first became a student at CSU back in the day, and that was 2007, and I'm sure it was here a decent amount of time before that too. Ken says they moved because the rent was going up. Yeah, that'd have to be the only explanation that makes sense to me. Yeah, someone riding a scooter. I wonder if one of these days I'll ever try riding a scooter. I still have not attempted. Lizzie says the Subway is supposed to be, I assume, open according to the website. Yeah, and there's no sign indicating in that window that, like, hey, we're closed for this stretch of time. Last month I pointed out how I really dug the artist who did these 3 paintings, including, or especially this one. But since I walked on this side of the street last month, let's go ahead and go back over to the north side of the street. And here's another light that I didn't time up. When I came in on the Healthline this morning, I didn't see any updates on the handful of restaurants that are supposed to be in the works on this side of the street of Euclid. So that's why I'm bypassing it. Oh, there we go. Got the walk sign. Don't remember if they had the updated signage the last time I came by, but they do have the new college name, Levin College of Public Affairs and Education. Clickman Miller Hall, home of the Maxine Goodman Levin School of Urban Affairs. They updated the word school, the other ones. Because it used to be college, you know, the whole thing was like the College of Urban Affairs. Now the school is just a school within the college when they did their restructuring a couple of years ago. Alright, a little bit up here I'm going to mute the audio just because music reasons. Got Corbel's Bakery. Looks like they've expanded their hours. There was a stretch when some days they weren't open, but now they're open, looks like every day except Monday. I feel like the hours are still expanded a bit. I could be wrong on that. Last month, one of the things they talked about how it was nice that the majority of scaffolding was gone so that you could walk through here more clearly along the Playhouse Square area, as well as the restaurants actually having their signage be more visible again. Alright, I think that should be it for the music in a little bit. Ken says it's good to see that place in Playhouse Square is now filled with a new eating place. Something called Good Social Kitchen. You're talking about over there, right? Yeah, last month's video, I went over there and even though it was raining at the time, the general manager came out and was giving me the rundown of it and talking about, you know, the plans for it. So I hope it's been doing well. I assume they still have the limited summer hours, which I believe were like 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. I'm going, again, everything's time permitting, but I'm thinking Monday maybe I'll try to swing by and grab some lunch down here at Good Social Kitchen. This morning I thought I saw more of a menu on the side of the building. So we're going to go ahead and walk by there. By the way, there's no shortage of Subway locations. This one actually is open right there, so you got Subways left and right if you're still craving a sandwich. They may have their more expanded menu since the last time we saw it. Let's go ahead and check here. Yeah, Monday through Friday, 11 a.m. to 2:30. They've got hot dogs, burgers, fries. So let's sloppy good or wild. I'll think about it, but it's good to see that they have their, it says soft opening menu, but it's also more expanded from the last time I was here in May. So yeah, that'll be nice for us to try to check out, and I'll try to do a video of that. And I showed this last month too, downtown Cleveland, showing their summer event series, although someone's scribbled on it. Fridays, they did a free stamp Friday, like food trucks from 11:30 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. Oh, that was another thing. So obviously one of the big things that happened a few days ago, or last week, whenever it was, on Flag Day, there was, quote, King's Day across the country, meaning, you know, all those planned protests. Look at this car here. Hell, they have all the little rubber duckies. But the main thing I was thinking heading into that was like, oh, please don't let this turn into, because I knew that you could see the situation that was happening in Los Angeles where people were looting. So I was having flashbacks to 2020 when there was that day where across the country, including downtown Cleveland, where there was just looting everywhere. So I didn't think it was going to happen, but on the same note, I was like saying to myself, oh, come on, like Cleveland and all these other cities, the No Kings protest, Cleveland and all these other cities have come back strong from that as far as the repairs and cleaning things up. But fortunately, I think it was News Channel 5 did a nice job of providing like a little live stream presence on, at least on YouTube. They were walking around interviewing, and everything seemed pleasant, peaceful, and as far as, you know, no extracurricular activities going on. So that was encouraging, but you never know with these things, because in Salt Lake City, which, you know, they were having their own thing, and I believe 10,000 people showed up in downtown. I found out this the following day, but in Salt Lake City, some guy was marching in the parade or protest, however you want to refer to it as, and all of a sudden he like went off to the side away from the parade, reached over, that was a barrier or corner, and from probably a backpack grabbed pieces of a rifle and started assembling it, and then he carried it over. Again, I'm going based off articles I read, so forgive me if the details are a little bit off, but it's the same general point. Then he went back toward the crowd area and held it in the air, and then a peace officer, not a police officer, but a peace officer, I assume it's like a secondary to help bolster the security presence, saw him doing that and fired 3 shots. And he did strike the person with the rifle, but unfortunately one of those shots also struck a perfectly innocent person who wasn't doing anything, and that person died from it. So it's like, geez, that's why in my head I was, on one hand I think to myself like, oh, if something like this was going on, it would be good to document, which I still have that feeling like, oh, unique to document. It's still a unique day in history. But on the same note, it's like, geez, is it really worth it? Because that's exactly the type of scenario you fear. You're an innocent bystander, and boom, all of a sudden that happens. Oh, and you know what? I was so busy talking that I forgot completely, as I was passing by Good Social Kitchen, to talk about the bike lane stuff. But I'll just stop here for a second. If you can remember where we were back there, this was the rendering online. Actually, this isn't even where I was. I guess I could still go over this way. Yeah, because initially what I was going to do is I was going to turn down toward this intersection. I guess I could just still go left on East 9th Street here. Let me do that, and then I'll bring that picture back up, because that way we can get a perspective shot of things. Yeah, what am I thinking? I was thinking I walked like way far away from it. I was like, no, it's just it's just the next block over. We've got lots of cars trying to use the valet here outside of the 9. Well, I know the 9's a popular hotel, but I didn't know there'd be such a heavy presence at the valet for it. Linda says, looks like a dreary day in Cleveland. I mean, I wouldn't, yes, I mean, it's overcast, of course, but I'll take this over the sun and heat for now, because this makes it much more pleasant to walk around. Okay, so right now we're at Prospect and East 9th Street. This would be going further east, like back toward Playhouse Square. This is going toward the Cuyahoga River and Tower City. You've got Rocket Arena over there and Progressive Field over there. So let's pull up the screenshot, because my memory is always bad. So first let's look at the little blurb here so I get this right. In mid-June, the city will turn Prospect Avenue and Huron Road between Ontario Street and East 9th Street from two-way streets into a one-way pair. Huron will be eastbound and Prospect westbound. Project will include downtown's first protected bike lanes. So, from what I gather, they're turning Huron, which is that road there. You'll only be able to go eastbound toward this way, and then Prospect you're only going to be able to go this way. So it's going to be, both streets, and that's between East 9th and Ontario. So going this way, the traffic pattern should remain unchanged. You'll be able to, turn and continue going down Prospect toward Cleveland State University and such. And then as far as the rendering, which I was pulling up a little bit earlier, let's take a look at that again. So this is more of an upper, if you had the camera perched on the building behind me up in the air, an aerial shot of what the planned thing is going to look like. So you'll be able to turn off of Huron onto Prospect, like curve onto it for the one-way. You'll also have the protected bike lanes on Prospect. I'm not sure, based on the rendering, it's a dedicated bike lane. I'm not sure how, quote, protected it'll be, if they're actually put like a curb there, or if it's just going to be like converting the parking lane into bike lane. Yeah, so I'll have to try to look on more online. Like, I don't know if they're going to eliminate parking, see how there's cars parked there, because the rendering makes it seem like that's where the bike lane is going to be. But we will see. So that's one of the updates, and they still, long term, I assume there's still projects planned for Superior, for example, how they're supposed to do the Superior Midway. They're supposed to do the Superior Midway and convert that into a much longer dedicated bike path. Near Burke Lakefront Airport, they were supposed to be changing that over into a bike area. But I need to do some digging and see what the updated timelines for all of that stuff is. Also, something that'll be fun is, I don't think, right, I mean, the new Superman movie hasn't come out yet. I don't think it has. We'll have to look at that, because even though I'm not normally craving to see, like, oh, I want to go see the Superman movie, but because a significant portion of it was filmed in Cleveland, I want to try to do something where I showcase clips of the movie with the actual, spots in Cleveland. Unfortunately, I wasn't around for much of the time that they were filming some of the things. The only thing I had gotten to see when I was here is when they converted portions of Public Square into makeshift, like, storefronts. A lot of these things just don't even have the buttons anymore. I mean, they're changing automatically on a timer, but you can see the holes from where they used to be located. The Sherwin Williams building in the background. Something I just thought of with the Sherwin Williams building, they have their script logo, or script wording at the top that says Sherwin Williams, but I wonder why they don't have, like, the actual red and blue icon of the Sherwin Williams logo on it. You would think they would have put that on it too, just like right next to it, similar to the Huntington logo on the Huntington building, or the Key logo on Key Tower. Speaking of Huntington, where it used to be Huntington Bank, man, you can see how this building just continues to be worn down looking. Like, even the top part of that clock, well, it used to be a clock up top, or on the bottom, I guess, rotating clock and temperature, but like the upper part is all like rusty looking. All of this is, you can definitely tell it's been not utilized for the longest time. You got smashed glass over here. So many of the buildings have been nice, but there's been, as far as I know, no movement on really renovating this. But, I'm sure someone will restore it at some point. Oh wow, Linda L says, thank you for the tour, and thank you so much for the $19.99 donation. Very much appreciated. Linda, I think I had mentioned that earlier when you said looks like a dreary day in Cleveland. And yeah, because that was when I was walking toward the bike lane area. But it feels perfect right now. Like, I am, let me flip the camera around. Got my Poco Traveler hat on, backpack that I travel with, t-shirt, shorts. So it is, like, I'm slightly sweating, but it's like not uncomfortable at all. If it had been sunny out, I probably would have been cooking a bit. There's actually a nice little breeze blowing, and like I said, there is, maybe at 6-7 o'clock, there's like a small chance of rain coming in. So I'll take this any time over sun. Now, I understand the dreariness, because we all know very well in Cleveland there's certain stretches of time where you'll go like 2 weeks in a row without seeing the sun. So then it becomes a bit tiring. And probably, and I wasn't here for it, the past 2 days when it was so rain, heavy wind. My one colleague out in Parma, I could see they posted online how a branch got hurled from the wind through their window, so they're gonna have to replace one of the windows, and you know, I'm sure a lot of other people had varying degrees of damage. So yeah, in that context, like, I can see why it would be like, oh, you know, we need that sunshine now. Linda says, I get caught up with your videos. I have not watched your last one. Oh yeah, that's one of the things I try to think about when I'm doing these videos. Like, for example, in this live stream, a few times I reference, like, oh, in last month's video I did this. So I try to like give it like a slight acknowledgement, but sort of a teaser about it instead of like rehashing it completely. So that way, if someone's interested in it, they may think to themselves like, oh, let me go back to last month's video and check out, not necessarily the whole video, but maybe that snippet. And that's the great thing about YouTube. I love it because they remember. I had comments from some of my Arizona videos, comments from New Orleans when I was there this year in March. Still some of my airport videos or bus transportation videos, like in Las Vegas. We're getting lots of comments. I still find it amusing. So that my Southwest Airlines boarding process video used to be my top video. That one's still pretty high up there in terms of viewership. But it's faded a little bit, and I know it's going to continue fading because Southwest has implemented, or is implementing, their new changes. But it's funny how now my top video on my channel is the short little video I shot about how to replace a battery in a garage door opener. It was just like a 3 or 4 minute video, and I just did like an instructional thing. So something that's really not even related to my true genre of these walking videos ends up getting the most views. Although I still do tie in a little bit because, hey, if you're going to travel via car and you're going in and out of your house, it's still something relevant, right? Going to clicking that garage door opener. Linda says, I seldom see you live. Yeah, usually I try to go live once a month. And oftentimes I'm not the best about announcing it in advance so people can know when to expect it. I did do a post. There's something new on YouTube called Community. Looks like there's some scaffolding outside of the Federal Reserve Bank building, where you've got the Money Museum. Should we go through it? I guess we can. What was I saying? Oh, about when you said seldom see me live. Yeah. And there's a new thing on YouTube called Community. If you guys want to check it out, feel free to. In the past, I think it's the same thing where I could make like post via text, like I could write a paragraph, for example, and either ask a question to the audience or give you guys an update on what I was planning on doing via video. But now YouTube has changed it to where I think the viewers, meaning all of you guys, if you're subscribed to the channel, which is, you know, completely free, all you do is hit that subscribe button, so it's essentially you're following the channel. Then I think you guys can create your own post. So if there's something like you want to suggest or ask a question to fellow Clevelanders, you can post the question and anyone can like respond to it and give feedback, or you can make suggestions. So that's something you guys can check out too. Laura says, I always enjoy your videos of Cleveland. I still feel like a native of the city even though I now live in Florida. Yes, I always enjoy hearing that from a variety of people. One of the comments that I stumbled into yesterday was someone said that they've been living in South Korea for the past, or I don't think it's South Korea, or I think it was South Korea, for the past 22 years. And this was their, my channel, watching the videos, was their taste of being able to see home and how they remembered it and what's changed. Oh, by the way, this is for anyone who wants to do drive-up service. Say you order materials at the downtown Cleveland Library and you don't want to actually go in, you can drive up to this thing right here and pick them up at the drive-through window. I believe when you request materials online to put them on hold, most libraries just have, like if you pick Eastman Branch Library, any regular library is just going to say like Eastman Branch. But the main library, I think, has 3 things you can pick. You can pick the main library, you can pick the Lewis Stokes wing over here, or you can select the drive-through window. So as long as you select the correct one, you should be good to go on this. As we see the Cleveland Public Library Eastman Reading Garden, always a nice park scenery embedded in downtown Cleveland that, in my estimation, doesn't get utilized enough. If I was working more in this area, I mean, ideally I would have a colleague to join me in lunch, but that'd be a spot where I'd say, hey, let's go sit here, because it's outdoors, but you're pretty much going to get shade there all the time and a nice breeze. That is a good thing about the rain the past couple days. You're going to have this luscious green grass as we are near the malls in downtown Cleveland. Linda L says, I like the airport videos. One day we'll fly to Hopkins and take the train downtown to the Hotel Cleveland. Well, it's only a matter of time. I mean, I don't think it's like urgent, but it's only a matter of time before Cleveland starts. Someone's shooting something over here. I don't know what that is. But it's only a matter of time before Hopkins gets an expansion and more renovations. From what I gather, though, it sounds like the major expansion is going to be more, at least initially, to the terminal, like where you check in, go to the airport counters. I think that's going to be the thing that gets the major renovation. I think they may be moving it to where some of the near where the current parking garages are. I guess that would be a little bit further north. One day I'll try to do a video that shows some of the renderings of that, so I can be a little more educated on it as we're at the beautiful fountain in downtown Cleveland. AWD Jr. says, in this 1 hour point of your tour, I saw one person on a bicycle, yet they're going to put protected bike lanes. Will the sidewalk be off limits for bikes? I understand. I definitely get the point. Like, I think that's something that can be up for debate. Anytime I hear of protected bike lanes, my first instinct is like, cool, I'm a bike rider. It's nice to have more bike infrastructure. But then you do question yourself, okay, is there, especially since we're only doing it from, it's not like, it's one thing if it's a dedicated bike path that goes, like for example, the Superior Midway project. That one I think has a good deal of sense to it, because that street is ridiculously wide to begin with. It never gets traffic unless it's St. Patrick's Day, and it would the path itself would expand like pretty far. So you could, if you're riding into downtown Cleveland and planning to continue the east side, or if you're coming in from the east side, let's say it goes to East 55th or something like that, you know, you could ride 50 blocks on a nice bike path and fairly quickly and safely get to downtown Cleveland. But when you're only doing a protected bike path from Ontario to East 9th Street, like what, a couple blocks, this is a biker. How many bikers are going to like specifically need to go over to that area and need to use it for that in exchange for, you know, changing the traffic patterns? Although I guess the point was that those streets don't really receive a lot of traffic anyway, so they're just doing it for that reason. It's not like they're changing a very busy street to begin with, although I'm sure that area gets a decent amount of congestion during Guardians and Cavalier games for certain stretches. Cosmic Sunbeam says the heart of rock and roll is in Cleveland, and from what I've seen, I believe him. Linda says, do bicyclists get any respect from the other traffic in Cleveland? Yeah, it does go both ways. I kind of wandered again, because initially I was going to go by the free stamp, which is back by East 9th Street. Now I'm at Ontario, which is kind of between the two ways to get to Progressive Field, or sorry, to get to Huntington Bank Field.
Oh my God.
So to get to that North Coast Yard, I'm trying to think, I'll continue walking straight and go this way, but should I go back toward the free stamp sign, or take West 3rd, which would be going that way? I think I'm going to walk toward the free stamp sign, just because that's going to be less deserted. You get a little more visuals and get to pass by the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, see if there's any more updates on the construction there as they are expanding the Rock Hall. I'm not sure what the update is on the Superman exhibit they're supposed to be putting here. It's supposed to have like a little Superman statue and I think a phone booth. You can kind of see, like, over there's a tiny raised platform where I think one of the things would go. And that, I believe that's why, one of the reasons they may have put this plaza in the first place. They were doing construction on this a year or so ago. Allocated Brain says nice jail there on the left. Cleveland Police Headquarters. And the one time I had jury duty, possibly to see if I would serve on a case, I was up on one of those floors for only 2 days, but I wasn't selected for that particular jury, so I was free to go after that. Walter Minifonzo is reminding people, he says, hey, 24 viewers, smash the like button for Poco Traveler. Thank you, Walter. Yes, if anyone's watching and hasn't already, usually I do say that sometime within the first hour, but yes, always appreciated if you hit that like button. And also hit the subscribe button if you have not subscribed to the channel. Walter says 21st floor for JD. Don't ask me how I know. Yeah, I forget the judge I had. I'm forgetting his name, escapes me, but there was a certain phrase he had like over and over, and that escapes me too. I'm sure if I thought about it more, it would come to me, but he was trying to emphasize it in all of the jurors' heads. It was something related to, oh, beyond a reasonable doubt. That's what it was. He kept on saying the phrase, you know, beyond a reasonable doubt, beyond a reasonable doubt. And he was quizzing like the potential jurors left and right. He would bring up a scenario and make sure they're paying attention, because he would put them on, he would be talking for like several minutes, and all of a sudden out of nowhere he would just call one of the potential jurors' names and ask them a question, and a lot of times the answer had to do with, you had to explain why it was or wasn't related to being proven without a reasonable doubt. Lizzie Anza says, I had jury duty there one time, was only there for one day, and court was shut down for the rest of the week because it was Thanksgiving week. Yeah, I can't remember if it was Thanksgiving, but I know someone, one of my family members at one point had jury duty scheduled, and I think they called in every day, and it would just, they weren't needed, and I think there might have been some message related to like the Thanksgiving week as well. Well, I'm glad I ended up coming this way, because we're actually stumbling into some type of artwork that I wasn't familiar with or aware of. It says The Stories of Us. Fernando Martin says, Fernando on the stream, watching the stream on TV. I love Cleveland, Ohio. Welcome, Fernando. Good to see you back again. And Linda says, wow, I never got far enough to jury duty to get advice from a judge. Yeah, it was definitely an interesting experience. I mean, overall, you know, of course it would have been interesting too to serve, but my preference is to just get that little taste and then be able to move on with life. But if you have to do it, I mean, that's the random draw, luck of the draw, so to speak. So I don't know, I'm trying to read if these are different. I think we've got the artist name on each one. Alicia Vasquez, for example. Title of the piece, Honoring My Ancestors, and the theme, Origins. I don't know if we'll get a 360 view of all of these things, but they're very, very well done. This one by Leah Brooklyn, The Story of Sojourner Truth. We hold these truths. Isaiah Williams, The Light of Emancipation. Forgive me if I'm ignorant to it, but if anyone has an idea of like the shape of these structures, this one by Donald Black Jr., They Was Playing Jail, Ripples Across Generations. By shape, I mean like how it's sort of a, 360 degrees, but also has some curvature to it. If someone knows what that represents, feel free to share it. But I mean, the details on these are very nice. I mean, you'll even see like the shadows where you got the sun hitting the green grass and then the fading to the drier areas. That one by Jerome White, Terminal of Wings, Good Trouble, Watching the Airplanes. And then we've got 5 more of them down here. This one by Gina Washington, Sweet Freedom Rising. Still We Rise is the theme. Looks to be like a lot of census maps embedded in the background along with older photography. So I guess not, some of these are painted, but some of these are more like looks like a material like wrapped around it. Deshawnay Marisa, Sunday Best, The Culture. Nature Girl says, enjoy seeing stuff like that, thanks. Yeah, I'll have to try to look up online. Oh, someone, yeah, they said close up on the scan me code. I won't be able to click it from my phone, but I don't know if anyone else, video or TV, for example. There is, down at the end, looks like there's a pillar with some more information as well. Natalia Bermudez, Whispers of Home, A More Perfect Union. This one is Brandon Graves, Chains to Change, Unlocking the Vision, Me Reimagined. So this one you've got some shots of like downtown Cleveland, and the theme, it seems to be like a movie script, reimagining like clean canvas from the Plain Dealer article saying Cleveland mural painter discovered his talent behind bars. And then the last one is Lisa Lizzini, Tapestry of Life, Us Reimagined. So you can see like the West Side Market here, and you've got all the flowers, various windows. I feel like that's the arcade, but I could be wrong on that. You see the two arms. I'm trying to see if there's, it's like a lot of stuff blended in to each other. Looks like factories. I think that's maybe the Lorraine Carnegie Bridge. You can see this one unfortunately has a tiny tear in the paper that surrounds the pillar. And this tells a little bit about each of them, including all the volumes. Thank you to the generous support of our partners down there. And the volumes continue here. So these are just each of the, like the last one we just said, Us Reimagined. So it's telling a tiny bit more detail about each one. And the website, this is probably where the QR code would take you to. It's thestoriesofus.org, or on Instagram it's at TSOUORG, hashtag the stories of us. Probably going to the website is the best way to easily be able to remember what the Instagram handle is. Fernando says, very beautiful, informative art. Nature Girl says, I wonder how the location placement is chosen for these and who makes that decision. Yeah, I'm not sure if it was associated with like a particular event, like, or, you know, sometimes, like, I wouldn't say that was associated, for example, with the Gay Pride Parade, but for example, during the month of June, you know, sometimes I'll see in the past years like certain artwork things around this area that are associated with that, and it's because, you know, the month is coming up. So, you know, my first thought is like, oh, was this related to Juneteenth? Was this here before this? Was this here like in February and I just didn't even see it? That website might explain some more context of when it went up, or it could just be, you know, not related to a time of year at all. It might just be a general initiative. They get the funding and support to be able to do it, and, you know, the city of Cleveland is pretty good about supporting public art, as are a lot of cities. But yeah, as far as this specific location, because they hold a lot of events here, I think that's a good way to get it some visual publicity. But it's also, I assume those probably aren't going to be permanent structures as well. The reason I was swinging by here, because I saw this last month, but I forgot when I was doing my live stream to actually mention it. They put the Huntington Bank Field sign on the stadium. The stadium, which looks more and more likely it'll probably go to Brook Park down the road, but still, you know, we'll see, I guess, but that looks like how it's probably going to end up. There's still a lot of back and forth jostling between the city and other organizations. But anyway, they do have the name on the field. If we look down here, we haven't checked out the garden for a while. This looks new to me, that they actually have signs to explain, even though I don't see any animals out actively right now. I wonder why that is, but pig pen. So in the past there would be like certain pigs down there, dwarf goats. Then you've got the bee farm. I do see the bees. You're not gonna be able to see it on camera, but from my human eye in person here, I can see the bees floating around those things. Also says farm fresh eggs, the quack shack, and kitchen herb garden. They're supposed to utilize these for some of the catering that gets done at the Huntington Convention Center. Like, I believe in the past I heard the eggs that come out, you know, they're used in some of the meals that are done there. Oh, by the way, so the North Coast Yard that we're trying to go to should be like right in that area. So even though I feel like I'm close to it now, we're gonna have to walk around to get there. We'll see how it looks. My assumption is that it's not going to be like crowded or busy, just because like an assumption that it doesn't probably have a lot of publicity yet. It just launched, and it is still, because the lakefront isn't like suddenly fully developed, it's still, you know, a ways away. Just look at me, like, you know, if I'm a downtown Cleveland resident, yes, you could drive your car down there, but if you're not looking to drive, it's a bit of a walk to get down there. Nature Girl asked, can people walk down there? I assume you're referring to that garden that I was showing. No, that area is closed off to the public. I think. I say that because I've never seen anyone from the public down there. I assume it's just like the workers that are allowed to go down there. The only reason I say I think is I guess it's possible if someone's attending a conference and actually like in there already, and maybe there's a door that, you know, goes out there, but I'm just assuming that that's probably not the case. Got the free stamp sign in the distance over there, even though the trees are covering much of it. The park itself is called Willard Park. I still miss the days of back when the radio stations like 92.3 The Fan and one or two other stations would sponsor during the summer the free lunch series. It would happen, they used to do it 4 times a year. One would be held here, one would be held at Perk Park, one would be held at Public Square, and then I think Fort Huntington Park down by West 3rd had it there at least once. That's where I would get when it very first started, they would do like a free hot dog, and then you keep going around, maybe you get like a free bag of nuts, chips, a donut ball, or little other small goodies. But it was a nice way to do a fun little lunchtime activity once a month during the summer. And then after the first year or so, Rascal House Pizza ended up sponsoring the quote main dish, which was a slice of pizza that you would get for free. And then they would have the, like, depending on the radio station hosting that time, sometimes it might have been Ken Carmen and Anthony Lima hosting as like the MCs, so to speak. But that went away, another one of the victims of I think the COVID time, and just never came back. And now downtown Cleveland has really pushed the food truck thing, meaning, you know, it used to be just like Walnut Wednesdays at Perk Park. Then I think last year it expanded to Mondays, Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and now they got food trucks 5 days a week at different locations across the city. George Gabriel says, man, still the weather is shitty. Yeah, I talked a little about this earlier. How, yeah, I get that because of how the past couple days in Cleveland have been rainy and dreary, but for me just getting here, when I was in downtown Salt Lake City yesterday catching the train to go to the airport, it was 103 degrees. I was at like the peak part of the day, and granted, you don't have humidity there, so it's not like, it wouldn't be the same as a 103 degree day in Cleveland, but still, even though I was outside for like 5 minutes, I could feel myself like, oh man, hopefully this train's on time, so I'm not having to stand out here. And that was, I think, I saw an article that said, I think it was broke like an 85-year record for high temperature. So me coming from that yesterday, when I feel a nice breezy day with no sun, me personally, I'm like digging this right now. George adds to his comment saying, I was in Cleveland for all of May from Florida and the weather sucked. I thought it got better, but it's almost July. Oh yeah, That is the bad thing about Cleveland weather sometimes. Like I mentioned earlier too, where you'll get these like stretches where it's like, man, it just won't let up as far as the dreary days. Or similarly, where it seems like sometimes you go straight from winter to summer. So here's the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Long live rock. All right, we do have some progress. I need to look at the renderings again to see what the intended design is supposed to look like, but compared to the last time I walked through here, instead of just having like a hollow hole in the ground, you have a couple of raised structures for the expansion to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Oh, you saw AC/DC, George, when you were here? That's at least it was some sunny days along with that, and getting to enjoy the experience. But yeah, it's same thing. I think the last couple times we've come to Cleveland, excuse me, my mom has said, like, man, like I wish the weather would be like nicer. Like she would say there were stretches, like the week before I arrived, she said the weather was perfect, and all of a sudden I would get here and it would be like either rain or cold or something going on with the weather. But this time when I was arriving, I was telling her, like, hey, it looks like I'm missing the rain that would have been happening the past 2 days, and it's supposed to be sun for the next however many days. Even though the heat warning, I assume it's going to be high humidity or something on, because the temperatures themselves are only looking like high 80s, which is still hot, but I'm assuming it's going to be a bit suffocating for this Sunday and Monday. But hopefully I'll still be able to manage. I mean, that's where, for example, Monday, maybe I'll try to do something indoors video-wise. Maybe I'll go to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame and take advantage of my the cool air inside, and do splice together a few clips in there. I know I've said that for a while though, for like a couple of years, just like I used to talk about the West Side Market, and then finally I ended up doing a video, and now I have two videos. Last time I was here in May, I did a nice Ohio City video. Oh, here's our artist rendering that I was talking about. So it looks like what we see on one of those things being built is this part here. That's like that hollow outside. I don't see the other part quite. It looked like more of an elevator shaft. So maybe once they get that built and something on the other end, then they can build like the rest of the architecture. And they'll have an atrium inside. I guess be able to do indoor concerts, event and performance spaces, pay homage to the existing building, it says. Lizzie says go to the Cleveland Zoo. Yeah, it's a good point too. I mean, Cleveland Zoo, I assume it's still free on Mondays, although I am working on Monday, so that one's a bit tougher to get to on a lunch break without a car, and you know, the exploring time it would take. The Rock Hall, you could sort of do an extended lunch break and squeeze in a little bit of time. I'll see. Sometimes you just randomly stumble into these things here. I knew where the green one was and the red one. The green one at Cleveland State now. They've moved them a few times. The green one's at Cleveland State. The red one is across the street from TriC's on Prospect. And then I guess now you've got the orange one that sort of is highlighting if you take a selfie, like so you sit on the bench and someone else takes your picture outside the Great Lakes Science Center. And as I've done before, you could crank this and hear the
fans of the Guardians to the land. The next offering.
The last two times I've cranked it, it's just doing like a advertisement first. I think eventually it's supposed to get to music, because that's what it says, turn the crank and enjoy the music. That's alright, I'm not going to keep spinning it. I guess this is also, I never realized this, sort of a compass showing the true direction. So I guess I've always know when I'm in Cleveland, like I have a visual, mental idea of where the lake is. And, you know, I know that's north, but this is saying true north is right there, and then west. So if you're trying to figure out the winds and where they're coming from for a game on the lake, I guess you got your compass right there. Alright, so the North Coast Yard should be down that way, but like I was saying earlier, see what I'm kind of talking about, how I said my assumption is going to be pretty dead down here, or at the North Coast Yard. I hope there's some people there, but we'll see. Just because, you know, you never quite, unless there's a Browns game going on, you seldom see people walking this entire distance. But maybe some people drove down there. George says, what do you do for work? I do IT computer stuff, so stuff related to kind of a grab bag of stuff, but working with enterprise software, troubleshooting issues with that software from the end users, writing queries, updating websites. Earlier today I was helping make sure scheduled meeting, the technology was all correctly set up for it. Just an extra set of eyes in case something malfunctioned. Oh, you're a systems administrator? Nice. Yeah, I love my particular position just because I love the variety of IT related tasks that I get to do. Alright, so there is a little bit of foot traffic down here. That's positive. I mean, you got several people over there, you got a group of girls over here. What could be happening too is, and I didn't think about this, so they built that extension from George Voinovich Park, which is behind the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and there is parking back there. So maybe some people are parking over there too, because it did look busy over there, and walking across beyond the Mather ship. Alright, so one word of caution. I mean, usually when I'm at George Voinovich Park, which is right near the lake, most of the time the live stream reception stays good. But there are some times when you get, because you're right near the lake, that the reception cuts off. So if that happens, bear with me. You know, just giving a word of warning. Right now we're still connected fine. There's the Cleveland Cliffs Mather steamship. They do advertise parking for the North Coast Yard is here, which I guess I shouldn't assume that it's free, but my assumption is that it's free for this particular thing. Now for North Coast Yard, it's saying parking to the left, bikes and pedestrians to the right. Please use pedestrian walkway. So that sign there says please use pedestrian walkway. So is there a way to get in over there? Hopefully. I think music's supposed to be going on at this thing, so we'll see. I might, just so I don't have to later on mute the whole audio for copyright reasons, I might manually mute some of it off and on. Oh, Lizzie says first day of summer. Oh, let's see here. So this gate's closed. I mean, some of those signages might be talking about, oh, can I squeeze through here? I don't want to feel like I'm cutting through where I shouldn't. North Coast Yard. Or is there a pathway going down that way? I'm unclear on it. Well, I mean, there's cars parked here, so I feel like I'm not exactly intruding per se. It's just, yeah, it looks like I could have just walked in that way. We have North Coast Yard. It's like a pop-up thing. I think it's a trial run. I don't know if they'll continue it for how long, and if it's the whole summer. But I think the idea behind this is to try to spur some interest in lakefront development for future years. Alright, and I might mute for a second here, just to get the... So right now there's roller skating going on, but you do have the two basketball courts that can be used. So if you're a community member, I think on Wednesdays it said they have this where like people actually will reserve them, but the rest of the week you can come down and play it. Obviously not maybe now when another event's going on, but if you check the calendar you can do it. And more people are doing the roller skating. Let's see some of the rest of the park down this way. You can see the weekly programming here for each day and what time the park is open, or food or bar. On July 4th, they're doing Light Up the Lake fireworks party at the yard from 5 to 10 p.m. They've got one of the food trucks down that way. Some chalk and hula hoops, that little kids' activities they can use to be entertained. The theme of purple, blue. And then Lake Erie itself. It looks like they just installed the wood to help protect, you know, people from falling over. Obviously not the most pleasant scenery in this portion. Usually you get more cleaner looks from George Voinovich Park, which is just over there. Alright, but that's... Oh, they also have a yard bar there, so I guess probably drinks of some kind. That's where we're going to go ahead and sign off. Thanks for tuning in, everyone. It is starting to rain a little bit. If you enjoyed this video, feel free to hit the like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and we will see you next time. Thanks again for tuning in.